followers of Christ, I urge you, pray to God. Talk to God about the people in your life, the people that you know. Tell him your passions for them. Tell him how much you care for those people. And by doing that, you remain connected to them far better than any Twitter or Facebook junkie could ever do. But separation doesn't just take the form of years. Separation also takes the form of fears. We also are going to read today that following Christ means no separation fears. We don't need to be afraid of breaking relationship with one another, because the reality is we can't do it. We cannot break our relationship finally, completely with one another. Following Christ means no separation fears. In Acts 21, verses 3 to 6, Luke is writing. He says, after sighting Cyprus and passing to the south of it, we sailed on to Syria. We landed at Tyre, where our ship was to unload its cargo. Finding the disciples there, we stayed with them for 7 days. Through the Spirit, they urged Paul not to go on to Jerusalem. But when our time was up, we left and continued on our way. All the disciples and their wives and their children accompanied us out of the city, and there on the beach, we knelt to pray. After saying goodbye to each other, we went aboard the ship, and they returned home. Paul had landed at Tyre, and he was relaxing there with some of the disciples. They were frightened about Paul's future. The Spirit had told them, hey, something bad is going to happen to your friend Paul. And so they were scared. They wanted to keep Paul. They wanted their friend. Their friend had taught them so much. Their friend had engaged with them. Their friend had helped them to learn more about God, and they did not want to take off. They didn't want him to be taken far away from them. They were scared. I'd be scared too. But Paul wouldn't be stopped by the fear. He wouldn't be stopped by the fear because Paul wanted God's will to be more important than maintaining his near-term relationships with them. Can you imagine the picture? The disciples and their wives and the children all kneeling at the city on the beach, and Paul saying goodbye for the last time. They must have been terrified for what was going to come to him. Like I said, if I was Paul, I would have been terrified. There were no good things coming to Paul. There was no bright sunny skies in his path. It's just gloom and doom. But yet, he wanted to follow God's will. He wanted to be a person after God's heart. I think that it's very natural to feel this way. People naturally want to take the easy way out. They want to engage and be part of relationships. They don't want to have to rebuild another relationship. Where are we going to find another Paul? I mean, it's been about 2,000 years. I don't think we've seen one yet. But Paul knew that it wasn't goodbye. He knew he would see them again. See, followers of Christ don't have to fear a loss of relationship. And like I said before, it can never happen. And that might sound absurd. I mean, we have all lost people that we miss terribly. We have all stood at grave sites. We've all messed up relationships. We've all told people the wrong thing and had it misinterpreted, and all of a sudden, bam, they're gone. Or they move to another city, and it's just not convenient to be friends anymore. That's happened to every single one of us. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's going to happen over and over and over again. But Paul wanted God's will more than he was concerned about these kind of relationships. We can see that Paul actually was concerned more about the spiritual life of the people. He was concerned about their heavenly destination. Paul was concerned about bringing people to faith in Christ. See, he knew that once somebody believes in Christ, that we're locked in a relationship where we're never going to be separated again. Sometimes I think when we go to heaven, all the suffering that I've felt over people that I've lost, silly mistakes of my own, it's just going to be wiped away in an instant. When I realize that although maybe I didn't get to spend 50 years on earth with them, that I could have spent, that I'm going to have, as my daughter Jamie would say, 1,000,000 billion years to the infinitieth power with them in heaven. We need to think about heaven. We need to think about our eternal destination. And remember that as long as two people are believers, there really is never a goodbye. It's just to see you later. No matter how badly we damage our relationships, it's just to see you later. Mental disease, death, they don't matter. What matters is that God has reserved a place in heaven for both of us, and that we can go there and be in community together. This is also something that should fuel our evangelism. You know, when I was in the working world, I thought I had a very open-minded attitude, but I realized how foolish I was. I never really told many people about Jesus. I said, well, if it comes up in conversation, if it just so happens, maybe, they're having a big problem, maybe I'll bring it up. But I'm not really going to, tell them about it, because I don't want to be one of, those Christians, who go and tell people about, Jesus all the time and stuff like that. I had known people like that in the past and how they had irritated my family. But that was a foolish mistake on my part. 8 years working in that company, I think I told 2 people about Jesus. How can I say that I am their friend? How could I eat lunch with them day after day after day after day? Working with them hour after hour. And I just forgot to mention the most important person in my life. And I forgot to mention that you're going to die and go to hell, and I'm never going to see you again. How could I have been so foolish to not have told them? I want to encourage you guys today, whether you're in school, whether you're working, whether they're neighbors, whether you're friends, if they really are your friends, have you told them about Christ? Maybe they're going through hard times, and maybe they even say they're a Christian. Have you told them about the difference that Jesus is making in your life?